Oh my God, it's the man.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hey, Paul.
You ready?
Yeah. How's this?
Much better.
Listen, don't get me started.
Hi, Carlos. Hey, Tim, it's Paul. Nice to see
Hi, Paul. Yeah, good to see you again.
you. Yeah, nice to see you. You've got a beautiful cathedral ceiling. Is that your home studio?
It is.
Do you
It is. Yes.
write and record there?
Yeah. Mostly demo stuff. But yeah, that's where I do my writing. We have a studio down in North Hollywood, place that we own that we do most of the records. It's where we record down there. But I can do some overdubs here, but it's mostly for writing, stuff like that.
You know, your band's been around for 30 years. I think you've done somewhere around 3,000 gigs, some huge number of gigs, right?
Yes, I actually did a little research there. He says just over 2,000.
Over 2,000 gigs. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've done a couple. I'm in the more like take 3 zeros off range. But I think that you've had this long career of magic music. I think it's extraordinary. When you guys started this band, did you anticipate that you were going to make it, or was it just a hope and a dream? Did you, when you got your first record deal, did you come unglued, giddy, and have parties? Well, how did it go? What was the story?
We formed in Omaha, Nebraska. And so back then, before the internet, before record companies, you couldn't really, it was hard to get record company attention there, I should say. So we knew we were going to have to do some work and probably move. We ended up moving to Los Angeles, and we always had kind of a goal in mind. So we'd be like, the first goal was, okay, we got to figure out how to get somewhere where we can get some attention, and then figure out how we can get a record deal. And then after the record deal, we signed with Capricorn. They gave us a 2-record deal, which we were super excited about because they guaranteed a second record. But we knew, okay, now we had to work and make a record, which first one's always easiest, right? You have a bunch of songs you've been playing for a while. Then the second one came. We had to write all new songs. And so that was another goal, just to keep working. So we never really, it's always been about kind of looking into the future and trying to keep growing and stuff. And so we never really felt that we had made it, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of, even like now, you still keep working, thinking, being inspired to write your best material. And I think everyone in the band still feels that way, but it's just been a 30 years, I guess, of always kind of trying to strive to keep growing. And so we never, I don't know if we've ever really, I guess you feel like you make it when you're able to make ends meet, and earn a living with the band and stuff. But it always been our goal, to be able to have it be our main job, you know what I mean? Earn a living doing that.
So it's been more of a band than a business relationship.
Yeah. Yes. And it's, with the business side, we try, there's 5 of us, we try and always be as democratic as we can. We try and make the decisions based on what's best for the band and everything. And we're good friends. When we moved to Los Angeles, 5 of us in a 3-bedroom house, we rehearsed in the living room. That's where we recorded our second record, in the living room there. And we kind of worked everything out, living in close quarters, traveling in a van. And we got that kind of worked out early, where everyone kind of knows how to get along, and it's just kind of stayed with us, 30 years. It's hard to believe.
Huh. Well, I've been in 30 bands in 30 years, so I have a good experience. It's been a round robin of very, very good musicians. I enjoy playing music very much, but it's a hobby for me. And making guitars is a business for me. And I would say that there's a core group of people at PRS that sound very much like your band. We've been together, 15, 20 years, 30 years, and we're still making guitars, and it seems to be going all right. Tell us the story about you getting your first guitar PRS at a music store. And, I know you traded guitars around when you were young. You get bored with this one and traded in on another one. Can you tell everybody that story? I think it's a good story.
Yeah, when we first signed, got a record deal, up until that point, I had always just had one guitar, one electric guitar. And I would, if I wanted something different, like you said, you have to trade it up, add a little bit of money, get the new one you want. But we finally had a little budget. So I was like, okay, I had a Strat style guitar at the time. And I was like, I want to go. Eddie offered, our producer at the time, he was like, we got to get you a humbucking pickup guitar. And I was like, all right. So we went to Nadine's in Hollywood, which I think you remember.
Well,
great. Yeah, it's a great shop. And I hadn't really heard of PRS Guitars. This was maybe 92. I forget what year. I wish I knew what year that guitar.
That's exactly when it was, because I had a huge argument with Guitar Center because I opened up Nadine's and they weren't happy about it.
Ah, well, this guy, I wish I could remember his name because he was a great dude and he helped me with other gear there. But
Derek.
Yes, Derek, exactly. Wow, you got a better memory than me.
Well, you're in the middle of a screaming argument. You remember people's names.
Well, yes, wow, I can't believe that. He showed me the CE Bolt-On 24. He's like, hey, you should really check these guitars out. And we looked at it, and as soon as I picked it up and played it, it was like, okay, this is awesome. You know what I mean? It was like, its own thing, really. Between the Strat, it was like a Charvel Strat I had at the time, and I had the Paul Deluxe, things like that. But I picked up that, and it was like, man, this is really comfortable. It sounded great. It's like probably the HFS pickups in there. And, we took it back. I recorded the whole record with it. I don't even think I used the other guitar at all going forward after that. But it just really struck me as like just held its own compared to any Gibson or Fender or anything like that I'd had. But it was its own beast, and so thankful that he steered me that direction. And, I kept that guitar. I think I mentioned I lost it in a fire. So that's the only guitar, PRS guitar, over the years that I don't have. All the other ones, I still have every single one of them. Some of the SEs that you gifted me, I would donate to people and things like that. But all my guitars I keep, and so it's been really a blessing to be able to do that, because guitars are great and they each are their own unique kind of thing, and so it's ever since that first one I was able to not have to go in that loop, that kind of infinite loop of always having to trade one out.
Where is this house I'm looking at? What state's it in?
We're in California. We're about an hour and a quarter. We're about hour 15 north of Los Angeles in Ojai.
I know where that is.
So it's Ventura County. So we're kind of
live there.
Oh yeah, cool. We're kind of out in the country. It's nice. Yeah. It's been a blessing with what's been going on. We have 3 young kids. They pretty much get a run around out there, and it's hasn't been too stressful with the quarantine and everything. So it's a great place to write music. It's pretty peaceful.
Have you done a virtual concert yet?
No, but it's kind of in the works. We're wiring the studio down in North Hollywood to be able to do that. So we're maybe a couple months out from being able to actually have it function. But it's all planned out, and most of the gear is sourced. So we're hoping to do it in November. Do it like a live broadcast out of there.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, they're doing drive-in theaters here, where they let this one venue in Ventura lets 800 cars in, and 4 people per car, and you play in the round, and they've been starting to do concerts like that. So we're probably going to do that in November as well. It'll be our first gig since March. Being the 30th year, we're going to try, and our plan, we had dates in all 50 states. So we had been we got about 3 of them under our belt before March, before the shutdown happened. But so we're going to have to reschedule that all for next year. Hopefully we'll get out and do that. But just looking forward to that. Alaska, Hawaii.
I understand there's a restaurant. What town's it in? Will you keep going? It's half. Oh, it's in Hawaii. Is it in Hawaii?
It was in Hawaii. Yes, outside. Yeah, in one of the suburbs, or I don't know if it's a suburb, but yeah, Honolulu. That's where we first started going.
Hawaiian, Japanese food or something? What was this?
Yes, I think the woman that owned it was like in her house. It was like kind of in a neighborhood. It was a really cool spot. And I forget if a friend turned us onto it or maybe someone at the hotel. But she, I believe, was Samoan, Hawaiian, and it was a Hawaiian-Japanese kind of fusion restaurant. And we were pretty young at the time we went there, pretty early 90s. And that's the first time I was ever introduced to raw fish, eating sashimis, Japanese style, Hawaiian style food like that. And that, we were talking about restaurants and some of the best food you've eaten out and about. And that one always sticks with me because that really opened up kind of my eyes to that whole cuisine, and it's stuck with me ever since. It's still like my favorite way to eat, but Irifune, it was called. And we used to go back there every time we go back there, and then she finally closed. And so she's not open anymore, but great spot.
The first time I went to Japan, they fed me shabu shabu, and it was extraordinary. I never had anything like it. And David Grissom took me to a place in Spicewood, Texas called Opie's, which was the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. And I've had some good meals. I had a meal in New York City once at a place called the Erminia where Robert Fredford used to eat, and they served us baby sauteed artichokes upside down in olive oil with garlic butter. I've never,
Nice.
I've had blowfish in Japan. I could have died, but I'm still here. Didn't know how dangerous what I was eating was.
Was it worth it? Is the taste
clear rubber
worth the risk?
I didn't like it at all. But it's blowfish, and your host offers you this stuff that's so expensive that you could die. You eat it. I don't know. There's been some extraordinary meals. I'll tell you one other story. I'm in Germany. They serve red wine. Never heard of German red wine at the time, but I put the wine in my mouth, and it don't swallow it. It disappears. And I went, that's extraordinary. What is that? And the German leans over and goes, we don't ship the good stuff. Helmut Schaller, the guy that owns Schaller tuning pegs.
Wow. Never heard of such a thing. That's great.
Great. That, I don't know. The food in the gas stations in Italy, as you know, is better than most restaurants in America.
Whether it's like the charcuterie kind of things like that they have. The one thing made me think of when you said Japan, maybe you've had this before. I've never eaten it. I've eaten it one time in Japan and was horse.
Yeah, I saw all miles.
Sashimi.
I wouldn't touch it.
You know what? I wish I could go back. If I could go back in time, I would not do it. I don't know what I was thinking. Everyone was eating it. They're saying it's a delicacy, and I was like, and so I tried it, and I don't think I'll ever eat that again. It was not,
My mother was into duck eggs. Have you ever had those?
No.
They're god awful. Don't want anything to do with the most gamey, god awful things. She goes, I like the taste of them. All right, so we hit the food thing.
I wonder what sort of background skill set that you had when you started building guitars that would allow you to start building guitars, because I see your guitars the same way as you, like a Telecaster, where they kind of got it right from the start. I know things have changed and you keep evolving, but wouldn't you say not that far off from when you first built your first guitars?
They're pretty close.
Yeah.
So I would say that if I was taking a college entrance exam for algebra, I would fail it. And if you were giving me a college entrance exam for trigonometry or geometry, I would pass it in flying colors. So I have a really good head for graphic math. So that's a skill that I was born with. My parents were both mathematicians. I didn't think I carried the gene, but turns out that graphic math is math. I also had a real thing for making stuff. So, you know, if my father was putting a bike together when I was 5, Daddy, I can help you build the bike. No, leave me alone. No, I had an idea how to make the bike, right? I had an idea of how to make any gear that I didn't own. So if I didn't own bass cabinets, I made them. If I wanted to be in the club where, you know, people had gear to play in bands. You know, as the story goes, the reason they let Townsend in the Who is he held the gear and nobody else had it. So they let him be the guitar player so he could have the gear. I don't know if it's true, but that's the story. And I wanted some gear, so I couldn't buy it. So I'd made it. I would go buy wood and a couple speakers and I'd make bass cabinets, or I'd, you know, take an old Lafayette amp apart and I'd do whatever I had to do to get in the club. And if that made making shit, I made it. So it's just kind of the way I was wired. You know, Rhonda Smith and I have had a conversation, and she's always kind of ribs me about the fact that I don't just talk about it, I go do it. You know, one of my favorite things to do in a meeting is you get up out of the meeting and go look at what's going on with everybody that's in the room and just make a decision. I don't want to talk about it.
That's great. Well, and you're still, you know, we talked a little bit before, I could hear it coming through, still inspired to improve.
Yeah.
And I heard a little bit of you talking with Al Di Meola about even the stains and some of those things evolving. And that's so important, right? To keep being inspired.
I like guitars more than I ever have.
Yeah.
I just like them. I mean, you like guitars. They're written on your bones, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
I like guitars. I like guitar amps too. I was able to take apart the amp that Hendrix used to play through at Woodstock. And I found another one which was within a few serial numbers of the one he used to record all his records with. I just like gear. I just like gear, not to rent it or to collect it. I like it to learn from. I like, you know, look, let's say I'm holding a guitar that was made by Angelico. He's dead. I can't interview him about it, okay? But that guitar will yap. It'll tell you everything he thought that day. I love that. I like that these old pieces of gear are literally talking pieces of history. They're like time capsules. Whatever Orville Gibson thought about making guitars in 1901 is in that guitar, and it'll tell you. I like that.
Absolutely. And it seems like over time, I feel the same way about music and playing, that it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Like I feel more inspired to play music now each year as time goes on than I did last year, you know, and I look forward to it. And it's great though. It's a very special thing when you get to create an instrument, right? Like I was looking through all the different interviews.
If you don't like it, it ain't special.
Well, yeah, that's right. Right, it's got to work for you.
Yeah, it's got to work for you. It's a tool to do a job.
Well, they're beautiful tools. You know, the shirt. We kind of talked a little bit about this double neck. I know it's been a few years, but the John McLaughlin, Jimmy Herring tour, and John had that double neck out. And both those dudes are some of my all-time favorite guitarists. You know, but that's like a work of art. You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of people put their heart into making that creation, and then it can go out there and be in John McLaughlin's hands and just make everybody's ears happy.
You know what happened to it, right?
No, what? Did it get auctioned off? I don't know.
He sold it for charity, and he cleared it with me before he did it. I thought it was beautiful what he did. He played it on the tour to make it worth way more money. He loved the instrument, and he sold it for charity.
That's great.
John's a decent human being. It's the only Jedi Knight I ever met. He can tell you the future.
He's awesome. I'm just yeah, like it was special to get to see him play.
How old are your kids?
We have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and then a 11.5-month-old. So he's almost 1 year old.
You got a baby in diapers?
Yeah, yes, I do. He just started walking about 2 weeks ago, so it's a lot. Yeah. But I got started kind of late with the kids. You know, I didn't meet my wife till about 10 years ago, or, you know, we've been maybe 12 years. But yeah, so it's been kind of a blessing in disguise being around this summer. I mentioned earlier, we're always out in the summer, always playing. And it might've been the 90s, the last time I had July and August off. So to be able to be here and be around, especially with the little baby, to see him grow, they just change so much every week basically. And so it's been pretty special to be around for that, you know. And I don't know what I'm going to do 10 years from now. I don't know what I'm going to do, you know. Got to be exercising or something to keep up with them all. It's already pretty keeps me busy.
I'll bet. So Tim, thanks for being on. Big one here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I
done.
appreciate it.
Good luck with your family. Good luck with your band. 30 years is a long time. You've been with us for almost that long, and I really appreciate it. See ya. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, brother, man.